So Chonko and I are going to do a little bit of a collab here. He sent me a book to work on. It's one of his Jayme Cortez books, the Brazilian comic book artist, who is essentially the Alex Schomburg of Brazil. His books are incredibly, incredibly rare. And Mike, Chonko, he wanted to see if I could work on one of the books that he had bought that was in pretty rough condition. So, wow. Already, I see some cool swag. Oh, this is awesome. Got myself a Chonko t-shirt. That's badass. Oh, this mug is sweet. Thank you, dude. Appreciate that. All right, cool. All right, inside the t-shirt, he mentioned that he was going to send me something else. Oh, wait, is this just, oh, this is 2 t-shirts. I'm a Chonko. That's awesome. I really wanted this. Chonko Hates Your Silver Age. That is awesome. This is so cool. Thank you so much. I will wear those with pride, Mike. Thank you so much. Oh, cool. This is Mark Spear stuff. Oh, sweet. Oh, right. Oh, man. I've been wanting to buy it for a while. Oh, thank you so much, man. I really appreciate it. You didn't have to do that. Honestly. Howdy doody. Oh, wow. This is a very interesting cover. Kind of like a racial stereotype cover. Wow, that's wild. Thank you so much, man. You didn't have to do that. I was more than happy to just, do this book as a collab. Oh, this is cool. This will definitely be a future conservation book. Thank you so much, man. Welcome to the archive. My name is Jason, the archivist adrift, and today I got a really special book here. I'm actually doing a collaboration with Mike over at Chonko's Comics. And he's been on the hunt and collecting comics by this Brazilian artist named Jayme Cortez. And Jayme is known for doing his horror covers. I think he did some fantasy stuff. He did a lot of different genres, but he did these painted covers that are highly sought after, but are incredibly rare. And they're rare because of the conditions that they were printed in. Brazil has a tropical climate, so comic books fell apart very quickly. So a lot of these comics just got thrown away or misplaced, or just fell apart because of the conditions, and were lost to history. And there is a pretty strong and growing collector base for this type of foreign comic, especially these Brazilian comics, and especially by artists like Jayme. I was a little confused with Jayme Cortez's name because in Spanish, his name is spelled Jayme. In Spanish, his name would be pronounced Jaime or Jaime, but after doing some research, it looks like Portuguese, the SH is pronounced like with a ja sort of sound or a sha sort of sound. So it's Jayme or Jayme. And looking at a number of Brazilian YouTube channels that discuss his work, they also call him Jayme Cortez.
Nós vamos lançar álbum compilando tudo que o Jayme Cortez fez de terror, velho!
Isso, pronto, pode falar, aí ó.
Temos um Jayme Cortez no catálogo.
Fronteiras do Além nasceu, é isso.
Pelo amor de Deus.
Jayme, he was born in Portugal, as I understand it, and then moved to Brazil and painted covers in a number of different genres. This book, Historias Macabras, I'm probably butchering that. It translates to Stories of the Macabre, or Macabra, however you say that. And then the big Vingança here on the bottom. that means revenge. And then there's a stamp here, Oferta Premio, which I think means award offer. So I'm pretty sure that this was a promotional book of some sort. Here we have Revista para Adultos, which means magazine for adults. This is issue number 25. And then CR was a type of currency that existed when this comic came out. This comic came out approximately 1962, I believe, or 1961, around there, 61, 62. It was published in Brazil by a company called Continental. The CR stands for Cruzeiro Real, and that was a type of currency that they had between 1942 to 1967 before it was replaced by the Real. So yeah, that tells a little bit about the comic just looking at the cover here. These comics were printed in black and white. I don't know if they had colored comics in Brazil. The back is also really cool. Dracula, obviously Dracula. And again, we have a magazine for adults. Very cool. The cover is a little bit thicker than a standard comic book cover. It actually looks smaller than a regular Silver Age comic as well. Let me compare it, hold on. So here's a Silver Age Marvel from 1967, and it's quite a bit taller. But it's about the same width. Well, actually the Brazilian comic might be a little bit wider. When Mike sent this off to me, I knew that the staples at least were going to have some issues because of the climate. They were going to definitely be rusted. So yeah, let's just go through this comic real fast and just kind of look at all the issues that it has. So we have all kinds of staining and dirt all throughout the comic cover here. Especially at the top here, we have quite a bit of staining. It looks like someone wrote in their telephone number or something like that, and part of their name, and then just kind of scribbled over here. This stamp it was put on after the fact, but listening to a conversation between Mike and Alan, the comic collector geek, it sounded like Mike wanted to be able to maintain this stamp if possible because of the provenance, or sort of it gives the comic a little bit of history, sort of like those bonnet stamps that you see on all of our Golden Age comics. We have stains, like I said, all over the place here. The staples are very clearly very rusted, thick rust, and the back also has staining and is in major need of a press. Not a whole lot of tanning, which is good. Opening the comic up, again, it looks pretty clean, honestly, all things considered. I've seen much worse. We do have a small hole in the cover, and then it looks like the staples, I don't know if the cover is loose here. Looks like we have a little bit of the back cover hanging onto this top staple. Again, the pages are dirty. You can see some water staining here along each side of the pages, but all things considered, it's not in really terrible condition. I've seen much worse. We have a rip in this page here, but there is a little bit of page here. I might be able to fix this, so we'll see about that. Here's our centerfold, and again, our staples are very rusted, and the page is still intact or held on at least by the bottom staple, but the pages are ripped. Gorgeous artwork, really nice. Okay, and then the back cover here, yeah, we do have a piece of the top of the back cover hanging onto that last staple with dear life. The bottom part of the cover is loose. So that's what we got to work with. Like every comic book, we start off with a dry clean. So let's go ahead and get started, I guess. This book doesn't have any gloss on it, so I don't think I'm going to bring up a whole lot of dirt with the cotton pad. That's what a Brazilian top staple looks like. At least for a 1962 Continental. It is very rusted, but it's very thick. You know, compared to American staples of the same era, at least, I think. So I've got my gel and gum mix here. A little bit more sophisticated now with a whisk instead of using a fork like a barbarian. I'll throw this in the microwave for 12 minutes or 14 minutes or however long it takes to boil in my slow microwave. All right, so I poured this gel into the mold. I don't feel like I'm a very good pourer because I'm always getting it a little bit everywhere. I'm just gonna let this sit for about 40 minutes and then see how it looks when it's all nice and set. Okay, so I went ahead and threw this in a cold press for a bit. I honestly think the inks on the front of this cover could handle a standard aqueous bath, but I don't know about the inks on the interior of the cover, and I don't want to risk it. And I have the material, so might as well do it this way. All right, I'm just gonna let this sit for about 40 minutes and then take it off and put it into a really quick rinse. Going ahead and bathe it real quickly in an aqueous solution. I did add a little bit of betaine to the solution for some lightening effect. Okay, while the wrap is wet, I'm applying a little bit of Vapor Rust to the areas that look like rust stains. But we do have an issue. The promotional stamp, it got fuzzy in the water in the bath. That sucks. Well, I'm just gonna keep on working. I'm gonna go ahead and start working on the interiors here. You'll note that there's quite a bit of like water staining around the edges here. So I'm gonna take that out. Okay, here's the first wrap. This book is really strange. It really presents more like a book than a comic book. But keep a close eye on these inks. Hope they don't bleed. Okay, so this cover's presenting some issues. When I did the rinse to the book to remove all the tannins after I did the gel and slab process, the stamp around here has actually kind of feathered a little bit, especially towards the bottom, and it passed through to the inside cover, which really sucks. But I'm not sure what else I could have done to prevent it, unfortunately. Maybe if I had chosen not to give it a rinse, that might have helped. I don't know. But the cover was going to have to get wet anyhow because I need to do leaf casting. There was rust migration that was, you'll see these little holes here. I actually had to create these holes in order to remove rust that was kind of speckled away from the main staple area and into like parts of the cover. I did use Evaporust, but Evaporust can only go so far, so I excised as much of the red rust as I could. Again, this cover is not like any cover I've ever worked on. It doesn't feel like a comic book cover at all. It feels like a paperback book cover. It's very thick. It doesn't have any gloss on it. Yeah, it just feels very strange to work on. All right, so I'm going to wet this down again and do some leaf casting here. Okay, I think this is dry now. Let's see how it came out. Wow, that color match is spot on. Looks pretty good back here too. Okay, I'm actually really happy I did this. The stamp doesn't look any worse. So I'm going through each of these pages. I'm washing them, putting them through an aqueous bath with standard calcium hydroxide and then Trinex for a surfactant. And then I'm going through and I'm hitting these staple holes that are rusty with classic Evaporust and trying to knock down as much of the stain as I possibly can. But whatever I can't knock down, I have to cut out. So as soon as I add the Evaporust, I set this wrap aside, let it dry. There's a little bit of a water stain on this side. And Evaporust kind of helps take down some stains in general. So sometimes I'll hit stained areas for its slight bleaching effect. What I'll end up doing though, after I let this dry, is looking at the rust areas, cutting out what doesn't come out, and then I'll do a second bath to rinse the Evaporust and the surfactant out of the wrap. Okay, the last bit of leaf casting on this wrap and one other. This wrap's kind of interesting because when it was published, it had a fold in it, so the print didn't go over it correctly. I mean, it was printed over the fold. So in the process of cleaning these wraps, I've unfolded the fold, and there's like a little line, which you know, I think they're just kind of rushing these books out. Same thing on this side. It almost seems like the proper thing to do would be to refold it, but I'm not going to do that. So I'm going through and pressing all of these wraps flat. And how I do that, I basically throw these wraps into my hydration tank here. It's got a bunch of junk on it right now, but and then I let them sit in there for a few hours or overnight or something. And then when I'm ready, take this wrap. It's all kind of wrinkly and whatnot, but it's hydrated. And I come over to my hot press and I take some of this Bristol board and I lay one piece down like that. And take my hydrated wrap, take another piece of Bristol board, lay it on top, take the other plate. So I basically make that Bristol board sandwich with the plates on either side of it. Then I go ahead and close the press and throw it on. So then I let it sit in there for about 165 degrees for about 10 minutes. And yeah, once it's ready, it's pretty flat. Okay, I think I got all these wraps cleaned up and I've got them flattened or pressed. They cleaned up really well. They were quite a couple of shades darker when I started, and they lightened up just in the bath. I didn't do any kind of blue light or anything like that. So I couldn't sleep last night, so I decided to get up and install the rest of the staples here off camera. And it's been sitting in a hydration tank overnight, the book has, so make it a little easier to fold here. Okay, I'm presently waiting for the book to sit in the press for a little bit and finish up getting nice and flat. And while I wait, I just want to go over these couple of these books that Chonko, that Mike, sent my way. This Howdy Doody book, you know, the cover was kind of striking to me just because of the depiction of the African natives here. And afterwards, Mike had mentioned to me that this was a book that's featured in The Seduction of the Innocent by Frederick Wortham. And there's a lot of very seemingly normal and childish and kind of you know, books that you wouldn't really expect to be on his list. And this would be one of those. And the reason why was actually for a fairly good reason, honestly. Unlike a lot of books on his list, like, you know, Injury to Eye and, you know, Playing with Acid and that kind of thing, this book was on the list because of its depiction of Black people. Frederick Wortham was sensitive to that because he worked in Black communities and he was a civil rights advocate. I don't have a copy of the book yet. I'm going to get that eventually. But I did find the blurb where he does talk about Howdy Doody number 6 by Dell Comics. So before referring to this book, in the same chapter, he was discussing Hopalong Cassidy. And he says, take one that looks even more harmless. Howdy Doody. I discussed this with a group of white and colored children. The reaction was partly giggling, partly inhibited. The book depicts colored natives as stereotyped caricatures, violent, cowardly, cannibalistic, and so superstitious that they get scared of seltzer tablets and popping corn and lie down in abject surrender on their faces before two little white boys. So that's that's a fairly powerful reason to be concerned about this book as it pertains to American audiences. There you go. Yeah, they're running away, scared. Interesting. I'm assuming the creators meant nothing by it. I don't think that they were intentionally trying to make some sort of, I don't think they were trying to make a racial stereotype as much as they were perhaps stereotyping native cultures. But of course, the faces are animalistic and caricaturized. So anyhow, I just kind of wanted to briefly touch on this book real fast. Well, it's related to this conservation, and I just wanted to really thank Mike again. I'll go ahead and unveil what it looks like now. It's going to have to go back under the press because it keeps on pulling up at the cover here. But I just want to show the work that's been done to this book. Okay, I wasn't happy with some of the interior kind of sticking out, and it's still doing that. I'm not sure why it's doing that. It almost gives it the look of a bit of a spine roll. I think what may have happened is when I unfolded the one wrap that was kind of bunched, it caused everything to kind of, it caused the pages on the interior to kind of like not align perfectly. And so there's just a little, like a couple centimeters that is just sticking out right here, and I can't seem to fix it. So I actually unfastened the original staples that I had in here, and I broke the top staple. This top staple was already kind of not brittle, but this leg here kept on bunching, and I knew eventually it would break with enough pressure, and it did. So that's on me. So I replaced both staples with a 1967 Superboy comic staples, and they're clean, they look nice. They're a little further in than I like. Unfortunately, because I had to get this cover wetter than I expected or intended to, there's a little bit of a haloing or a tiny bit of feathering around the stamp. It's not that bad, but it's not as sharp as the before pictures. And the stamp came through the other side. It was already coming through the other side just a little bit, but it's more obvious now. I'm conflicted about this. On one hand, I think I did a great job as far as cleaning this book up. I'm really bummed out about obviously the stamp coming through the book a little bit, but it is what it is. And yeah, so I'm gonna go ahead and put it under a cold press for a few hours, and then I'll send it back over to Mike. So hope he doesn't hate the work that's been done to it. And all right, well, I will talk to you later. Bye now. Tchau.